I'm definitely closer because I'm smaller, so.
You are. If you are a type of person who is in your first relationship or is in multiple relationships and you feel like I don't want to lose this person or I'm afraid to be myself around this person, this episode might be for you. Try to have fun, okay? So what's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of ICUBED. We keep nailing it. We're doing a great job, to be honest.
We're so in sync.
We are so in sync. It must be that 2 weeks of marriage.
No, that's yesterday.
A little more than 2 weeks.
Yes.
And it's been really wonderful so far, right?
Yes. I would say that nothing has changed much except it's like a sense of peace and stability.
Right. Yes, absolutely. I feel like before I was living like not an individual life, but there was certain times, like because when I'm on training, I get into these zones, I guess. Now that we've been married, it's like
so much experience.
Now that we've been married, I try not to get into these zones too much, essentially. Like she is a integrated part of my life, my existence, my being, my nature, and yeah, just everything I'm a part of.
Well, I mean, kudos to you in the sense that we actually still are long distance. I live in Philly and you live in Ithaca.
True.
And half. I spent 3 days in Philadelphia because of classes, and then I come up to Ithaca. You know, even though we've been long distance all of our relationship, it just took a long time for us to come to a place where we were not constantly putting the switch on of being separated and then off when we were together, because emotionally it creates, you become accustomed to create a distance once that person is gone. And then once a person comes back, you need to switch and say, oh, okay, you're here with me. In some ways, relearn being together. We've overcome most of it, and getting married just kind of put that stamp on it, which is nice.
We get to talk to people a lot generally about their relationship statuses and or lack thereof. It's something that we always want to process and we always want to think about. Recently, I had a friend bring up this topic. Actually, two couples bring up a topic of we just got in an argument or we're having an argument. I'm afraid to speak out how I actually feel because I'm afraid that they're going to leave me. If you are a type of person who is in your first relationship or is in multiple relationships and you feel like I don't want to lose this person or I'm afraid to be myself around this person, this episode might be for you. My friends are talking about just like this idea of fear. Have you ever experienced like a time in your life when you feared not being with someone or you feared not being with someone specific?
Moi. Of course, many times over. I think that specifically because I'm accustomed to a type of conflict where I either agree with you or we're going to be on, oh gosh, I only know the word in German. We're going to have a disagreement for a very long time. Because I've had that in my background, it was very difficult for me to come to a place of just talking to you.
Right.
You know, when I disagreed or when you were being some type of way or I was being some type of way. And it was a fearful experience because I was terrorized of coming to a point where I would talk to you and then literally you would just split up with me.
So you've experienced that type of fear before then?
Many times, yeah.
Like disconnect almost, where you're like, if we have a disagreement, if we have an argument, if I don't agree with you, if you don't agree with me, there could potentially be something in between us that will cause us to like
break up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's fair. And I feel like it's a very natural and common thing, right? I mean, if it's your first relationship or if it's your first boyfriend, girlfriend, I think we tend to want to present our best selves first in the dating scene. Why? Why do we tend to put our best selves first? Why not our worst selves first? You know, what if you know what I'm saying?
I think it's common nature and instinct, honestly. And it's sad to say this. We consciously or subconsciously, because of social constructs, view ourselves in a scale of 1 to 10. Right. And we want to get a partner that is same, if not above us.
Oh, interesting.
So we want to present our best side so that potentially we could pass as a 9 when we're really just a 7 or an 8.
But like this relationship here, which by the way, she, has these wonderful outfits and I always have to like raise my standard and my level up to this. So you can imagine the struggle that I have to deal with on essentially a daily basis because of You.
I'm sorry, I'm so stressful.
Right? I guess that's what marriage is, isn't it?
But whether it's a justified scale or a justified behavior or not, we tend to always portray ourselves in our best way because we want to impress a person, especially if we're attracted to them, so that they can see us as a potential partner or potential love interest too.
Do you think that like animals are doing that too? Like, I mean, think about an animal, right? Like some type of like pigeon.
Well,
I guess we could choose a more majestic animal, right?
I like to joke around that, and I got this from a common friend of ours, that Nishan is the exotic bird with the paradise-like colors on his tail trying to impress me with all his dancing. Pretty accurate. And you know how in nature the female is usually just brown color.
Plain. Humans are like the only ones where like the female is like...
Yeah, the paradise.
The paradise
bird.
The cover photo is the female, where animal kingdom...
Often it's the male who gets all the colors, so it's reflected in nature. I just think that it's kind of corrupt for us humans because of what social constructs tell us needs to be done. Yeah, we get a lot of extra pressure.
What do you think of those social constructs are telling us? Like that if we are together with someone, like I think that there's a couple of different reasons for the fear, right? Social constructs are telling us that if you are with somebody and you end up breaking up with them, maybe if you've never been in a relationship before, there's this like feeling of you're a failure and you suck, kind of. A little bit, right?
Or even if you get into arguments, that same type of shame and guilt comes over you, and you're like,
True.
Even your friends could be saying, well, she's a failure, or my friends could be saying, well, he's a failure, and it just builds up.
Right, which is exactly why it's important when you are talking to your friends about your significant other or your spouse to make sure you get friends who will stay a little bit in the middle and not like side too heavily with you. If you have someone who only agrees with you,
that's probably not the friend you want to talk to.
That's probably not the friend you want to talk to.
No.
And I've always liked people who gave me the devil's advocate side of things, who played the devil's advocate for me. Hey, listen, she's doing this. The one thing I don't want is for them to be like, oh yeah, dump her, get rid of her. She can't be doing that. Or that shouldn't be happening. The one thing and that's actually one of the reasons why I actually appreciate being with you, because you're the type of person who, if I have some kind of issue or problem or something with somebody else, you don't even side with me sometimes. Like she always says very neutral. You know, it's very political of you.
Yeah,
very United Nations.
very Switzerland.
Very Switzerland of you.
And I'm very thankful for this, is that I have the space to disagree with you, and you've shown me through time and by building trust with me that I have the freedom to disagree with you. And
sometimes.
And then we can seriously. And then we can actually, in that space that is given, talk through things. And so I really appreciate that. Yeah, because of that, I can be honest and, even side with another person's opinion if I see that there's something that's justified in it, But in the end, I want to make sure that it's in a place where you have given me the space and I have given you the space to air it out.
Right.
Why exactly this is the case. I think that in the end, the fear of conflict feeds into our fear of losing someone. And if we can create a space where both of us are safe to communicate our disagreements, that fear of losing the other dissipates. It could come with other reasons, but now conflict, which is a huge issue, steps into the background. And you see that, hey, I still love you, so let's talk this through.
I see. Essentially, conflict should not be a barrier to relationship. Conflict should actually be like a
tool to strengthen, to a platform to
launch you a little bit higher in your relationship, further into your relationship. Like when you come to a situation in your relationship, something that, seems like it's a little bit a clashing of heads or a clashing of opinions, this is a great place for growth. If you're in a relationship with someone, a significant other, like it's the greatest place where you can learn how to disagree with someone and still love them. And if we can take what we learned in our disagreements with one another and we can go ahead and live that out in a better way, or live it out in a social aspect, then we can learn that we don't have to hate a person who disagrees with us. This is our little micro universe. Me and you, living it up together.
Exactly.
Me and you. We learn in this little universe how to manage relationships outside of this
And I think that at one point to that, how to create that space that is safe for disagreement is let it be your partners and your voice only. Try not to bring in other voices, whether it be by bringing in a person or my best friend and pulling her into the discussion, or seeking all of my advice from elsewhere and then coming in with a set opinion and how it needs to be.
Right.
Outside voices can be very destructive to that safe space of disagreement.
Right.
And so if it's just you and me, it may be a little harder to put into words what exactly is happening or what is happening inside of us, but it feels so much safer, creates trust, makes it easier.
You have to learn how to do so, especially when you made a commitment to do so, right? If I made a commitment to loving you, being with you, when you committed to that, the commitments needs to flourish into, we need to work through this.
Yeah.
We need to do it between us. To be honest, sometimes outside people can get in the way. Outside help can be very, very effective and very good. And we've had some outside help in our relationship, in our premarital counseling, that basically saved our relationship. So we're not saying don't have people in your life to speak into it. But what we are saying is that there are some conflicts that need to stay within the context of your relationship to see if you can't work it out together.
I think that should always be the first place, is to try and work it out together. That should be the first attempt.
It kind of goes back to what we talked about in the last episode. Like in our last episode, we talked about
irrational emotions.
Sometimes there's like this, what do you want? I need to understand what you're saying. Being able to communicate verbally is so important in a relationship. We get so many cues that are nonverbal. There's, I don't know, they say something like 70 or something percent, 80% of our communication is not.
It's body language.
It's body language, like the way she looks at you, the way that, you position yourself, how you breathe, right? Have you ever just heard somebody breathe and been like, what's wrong with you? You'd be like, what's wrong? Or have you guys, this happens all the time, where someone will text you and you'll be like, yo, I just feel some energy from you that is not cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like, you can just totally feel people's energy coming through and things that they do. And that's why I say it's not only just nonverbal. It's not only verbal, but it's nonverbal communication.
Absolutely.
And the spirit behind and the energy behind your feelings and your emotions and things that you're doing will be conveyed at some point in time. And you're a lot more sensitive to them than, I think we were a lot more sensitive to them than we actually even think we are.
Yeah, I think that, yes, you can practice being sensitive to the intentions beyond something that is being said. Sometimes it just takes a moment of analyzing even yourself and how you are taking in the message,
I see. Yeah.
Because, yes, it could come from a wrong place, but are you receiving it in a wrong place as well?
So how you're giving the message, how you're receiving the message. Thank you so much for joining us in this conversation. Do you think we hit pretty much? We do have a podcast too. We will have this in podcast form.
Yes, a little longer.
Which will be a little bit longer. Yeah, we appreciate you guys watching. We appreciate you fans and people and friends and family. And
thanks for giving us a shout out.
Thanks for giving us a shout out. Share this with your friends if you felt like you got something out of it. Thank you so much for watching.
See you next time.
See you next time.